Hey everybody. I tried to record earlier today and it didn't come through. I was having some trouble um, with my stream key, I think, and connecting to YouTube. So I have I'm doing this video um, from home. Gonna see if I can't try to kind of get through some of the same information. Maybe I can go through it a little quicker than I would before. Unfortunately, this isn't going to have the ability for you to be able to ask the same kind of questions. But if you guys all submit questions to me, my students through Google Classroom or through the comments, I'd be happy to try to answer those either in a subsequent video or in the comments or in Google Classroom as best I can. For my students and for anyone who's watching this, the thing I wanted to kind of go through first is how College Board has changed how they're doing um, AP exams for the school year, and they've put out two different documents, which I'll link in the description. One is for schools, and the other is for students. And basically, they are no longer going to be doing face-to-face exams. They're only going to be doing 45-minute online free response questions exams at home. You just need any sort of mobile device. Um, um, for our course, you'll just need to have submitted your work through the digital portfolio. I'm more on that in a minute. That's for computer science principles. For most courses, however, you're going to need access to some sort of mobile connected device. For a course like math, I would have access to um, something that can take a picture or scan in some information so you can show your work properly. For courses that are more written and not as much about showing symbols and work like a math exam might, I would try to do your work maybe on a word processor or something like that. I'm sure they'll have more information out soon. The final information is going to be put out on April 3rd, so I want to make sure that you kind of keep an eye on the two links, both one for schools and the one for students, on April 3rd to see what the final look appears to be. By the way, if you know of anybody who's having access issues to broadband or mobile connected devices, please let me know of those as soon as you can so that I can try to make sure that they get the resources they need to be able to complete not only my course, but also their other courses. And that's not even just for the AP exam. Students at my school, please reach out to make sure that we can get kids access to the things they need so that they can complete learning in all their courses because we don't want that to stop. We want to make sure that you guys stay ahead of the game and don't have that huge loss of learning that can happen when you're outside of the classroom for an extended period of time, or are missing standards that are going to be coming up in a future course. Okay, so this year's exams, they're going to be 45-minute at home. They are currently figuring out what is going to be on those exams. More information on that in just a second. They're going to have the rest of it, though, officially on April 3rd. Um, they have decreased the amount of information that is on the exams. So, so if you look down here for, let's say, biology as an example, biology has 8 units as described by the College Board. You can go to the exam page on College Board's website to get what is in each unit, and they have cut the last 2 units from the course. Those are not going to be covered on the exam at all. For example, for Calculus A, B, again, they're keeping the first 7 units. They're getting rid of the last unit, Unit 8, which is Applications of Integration. So let's go ahead and scroll down and look at what Computer Science Principles is going to do. So Computer Science Principles normally is made up of 3 parts: your create, your explore, and the end of course multiple choice exam. The end of course exam is now not going to happen. So there will be no more end of course exam. The only things that you're going to be graded on to determine your AP score in this course is your explore and your create. Explore we did in the fall for my students, so you should already have that done, and hopefully you've already submitted to the digital portfolio. I know that some of you have not. If you're having trouble with that, please let me know. We need to get that stuff uploaded as soon as possible. Go ahead and get that out of the way. I'm going to be checking on it, and if I see that you are still missing your explore task, by April the 6th, you can expect to get an email from me um, to see if I can't find a way to help you, or maybe even a phone call if I don't have luck getting you through email. So, um, that being said, I want to move on to what the student page says. There's one more thing on this page that I wanted to talk about, and that is that they are looking very closely for cheating. I can't remember where that is, but they are test security here. They are keeping an eye on that. So y'all make sure that not just for this course, but for any AP course, y'all make sure that you're doing your own work, both on your performance tasks, but also on any exams that you're taking from home. They are very good at catching these things. I know some people might think that they are slick and can outfox them, but I'm thinking they're going to be dealing with lots of various ways to catch you, and you do not want to even be considered as possibly have been doing something that could arouse suspicion. So I wouldn't even be in the same room as someone who is taking an exam at the same time, or in the same household, excuse me. At the same time, I wouldn't be communicating with them about the exam at all. I wouldn't be saying anything about it. I think they're going to have multiple different types of questions. I think they're going to have multiple other ways of checking for copied work or assisted work. So y'all be careful out there. Don't do anything that is going to get you into trouble. In the student part, you can see that they've got live streams that they've put up for various courses to give you access to some of the material. A lot of this material is, so let's say if you just go down to European history, is going to be covering material that is no longer on the exam, but it does let you finish up the course. I think they will eventually be putting up review materials, so this is another good place to go check out to get the information you need to be successful on the exam. All right, so I kind of want to go beyond the AP exams for the other courses and talk specifically about computer science principles. So I want to come in here and kind of go through. This is another document that I will link in the description. You'll be able to see this called the AP Computer Science Principles Assessment Overview and Performance Task. It is the student task directions. These are the things that they ask for us to give to you before you start your performance task. Um, and uh, Basically, for the create, you are going to be creating a program. Um, you're going to be creating a program and of your choice. You get to choose what type of program to make. Uh, However, it does have certain requirements. The development process should include iteratively designing, implementing, and testing your program. That means you should be able to show them step by step what you did to create this thing, and that includes. Hey, I was only going to do this, but then I ran into this problem, and I had to fix it by doing this other thing. Oh, and then while I was there, I thought, wow, what a great added feature might be for me to add this piece in here, and that was another thing I could add in. So, and how did you test your program? How did you figure out the issues with it? So, they ask you to work with another student, but I'm going to tell you to be careful about how much you do. Let them test it and debug it, maybe give you some suggestions, but you want to make sure that you're doing the majority, if not all, of the writing of your code. So, kind of do your best. Um, okay, so once this performance test has been assigned, which I'm doing for my students now, you're expected to complete that task with minimal assistance from anyone other than your collaborative peers. So you will be provided with some time in class. Y'all have got all the time in the world now that we won't be going back face to face. You're supposed to provide in the end a video of your program running, an individual written responses about your program and the developmental process, and your program code. So, which I'll show you how to get. So, in this thing, you're going to be trying to make sure that you've created these things in your program. It has to have an algorithm that integrates two or more algorithms. So, some process that has inside of it two sub processes and that are vital to the program's running. You also have to have some sort of abstraction. For us using Snap, that's making a block. that manages the complexity. You have to create a video that displays the running of your program. You're going to have to write responses, and you're going to have to submit all of your code. You're also going to have something that shows logic being used and math being used. So, like while this thing is greater than this number, or for 1 to n, or something like that. There has to be some sort of mathematical or logical inputs as well. So here are the submission requirements: a video that can be no more than 1 minute in length and must be less than 30 megabytes in size. Those of you on PCs, there is a way for you to pull up the gamer recording software that is built into your computer. I think you get access to it through Windows G, but I'm going to check on that, and I'll upload something later for y'all to double check that. I should have done that before I started this video, so I apologize. You're also supposed to create a written response, and there are some questions just like we did for the Explorer. And in that written response, here are what they're going to ask you to provide: a written response or audio narration. I recommend when you do your video, you do not narrate it in audio. I recommend that you provide a written response only. It just makes it more clear. You have to, otherwise, if you do a audio response, you have to provide a transcript of that. From what I've been told. So let's just kind of avoid doing that part. Let's tell them what the program language you're going to do, what's the purpose of your program, and tell them what that video is illustrating happening. You need to describe the incremental and iterative process of your program in 2B, and especially distinctly these two parts of the process: the difficulties or opportunities you encountered and how they were resolved. One of them must refer to an independent program development. So one of them must be something that you did fully on your own with no collaboration. So that's why I said you want to be very careful with how you present your information. You also want to capture and paste some code segments that show an algorithm. You'll mark that with an oval, and that's supposed to be fundamental to your program to achieve its purpose. That code segment must be something that you did on your own, have 2 or more algorithms inside of it, and must have mathematical or logical concepts inside. You must also tell them how it functions independently as well as combination. And in 2D, you need to show them code that represents some sort of abstraction you made that most use math or logic concepts inside of it. That's a block that you created, and how that helps you manage the complexity of your program. So then you got to put all of your program code, and on your program code you will mark with an oval the one that's going to represent the algorithm that you wanted to talk about, and a rectangle the one that represents an abstraction that you talked about. And any comments or acknowledgments for anything that was done solely by yourself. They also have some things you might want to think about to kind of help you. I highly recommend creating a journal down here in this 5th bullet point down here. That I would start off to be, what are you attempting to do during this session of work? What are you trying to accomplish? What were the things that you were able to accomplish by the end of the day? What were some of the problems that you encountered during that day? Were you able to resolve them? If so, how? What were any new ideas that you had during the day? Was there anything that you didn't set out to accomplish that you did end up accomplishing that maybe wasn't originally a part of your task? These little things are going to help you write about it in the responses later. And if you don't keep track of those things in some sort of journal, to be really honest, you're just going to forget. It's all going to become one big blur of building a program. So do as best you can to kind of go through and doing that. There's a rubric in here that I will also provide in the description. It goes into great detail how you get the points. So you can go through that. There are 8 points into this, just like there were 8 points in the Explorer. So come through here and look through, and you can see where it's giving the points and where you might lose a point. They also give some descriptions for some of the vocabulary and what kind of specific things they might be looking for in your responses or in your code. So I wanted to show you just a quick example of a mini create that I made. I made this program during the summer. We had about 1 day to work on it, and that 1 day was really only part of a day. So I probably worked on this thing for maybe 3 hours ish. um, at most. So I made this little monster creation game. Um, and in my little monster creation game, the background changes every time you start the program over. I've got a few different backgrounds to choose from. And then it starts with a couple legs, and you choose what body type you want, either a rectangle or a circle. If you choose something outside the number range that they ask for, it tells you didn't give a valid choice. So I'm going to choose a circle, and then it's going to ask me how many eyes do I want. So it draws the circle body. I'm going to say I'd like 3 eyes, so it's going to draw me some eyes. And then it's going to tell me what kind of mouth do I want, a scary or a happy mouth. And I'm going to go for a scary one this time around. And there it is. I have created my monster, and I can play this game over and over again. It's very simple thing to do. I was just having fun with the drawing aspects of Snap, and like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to do this, but as you can see, the code itself looks really small, and I want to show you a few things that you can do in Snap. One of those is you can take a picture of your code. To do that, you don't have to use print screen or anything like that. You can literally right click on it and go down to Script Pick. When you do that, this is going to download a little picture down here that you'll then be able to open up, and you're not going to be able to see this picture on yours because it opens up in a different program, but it is a picture of the code. So that shows me that code. Then I can then edit these different blocks, open them up. Here's what draw legs looks like. So then I can get the script for that. Inside draw legs, it's just pretty simple. Then there's the make monster, which has a lot more going on inside of it. So inside that, I've got my body choice, which has, I can get take a picture of that. That's what I did. I just took a picture of each one of these things. And inside of here, you can see that it is got some logic going on. If this answer is equal to 1, I go through here, I draw my rectangle, which is also another block I created. So I have blocks within blocks, right? And if a is equal to 2, it draws me a circle, right? Which is, again, this is not an actual circle, it's just a polygon. It's a 40gon, in fact. And then if I don't give you a 1 or a 2, it's going to tell me that I didn't choose a valid choice and to try again. It's going to keep me in here until I choose a valid choice. All right. So that was something I did. I've also got the mouth and all that stuff. So I did all these things. I practiced them. I worked on them until they worked right. It took me some time to debug it correctly. And but this is the very quick thing I created. I also created a quick video of it running, which for my students I will post in our Google Drive, so you can have access to this video. Or of course it'll also be linked in the little write-up I created. So I wanted them to be able to see this thing running. Choose the body type, and so you can see it actually going through. I kind of meant to do a better job of showing it function, but again, I guess I didn't have a lot of time in this particular thing, but I'll leave this video for you to watch, and you can see my sample responses. So you can see how I talked through this thing and how I wrote it up. You can see that in 2B, I bolded out stuff to deal with the iterative process, how I went through step by step to kind of figure things out, what were some difficulties or opportunities I had, and what was something about the independence. So I wanted to make sure it was very clear for them to see my answers to those things. You can see here's my code for 2C that had some of my algorithms inside. So you can see I chose this one about make monster that has a body choice and eye choice. So I kind of showed the insides of some of that. And it says the body choice and eye choice algorithms can both be used independently of the make monster algorithm. And then I go in through and give some information there. 2D, this is showing you the rest of some more of my code that uses logic and algorithms. So again, I talk about how I did that. So I'm gonna link this is my sample response. This is the response that I made for my very quick thing. It's not perfect. Like I said, didn't have a lot of time to fix it up during the thing in the summer, but I wanted you to see what this might look like on an example. The College Board also has examples, and for my students or any other people listening, code.org also has things related to this. For my students, I have assigned to you or opened up an assignment that shows you the create on code.org if you want to go through their process to kind of get you some more resources. But before we get out of all this, I want to show you a couple more things, and that is this is a program that someone else made. So if you want to have more ideas of different kinds of things you can do, one of the other people's that I thought was a pretty good one was this program that deals with it's a little game. So this is a game that you try to hit these little floating things out in space. Obviously I missed one. I've got 2 lives left. Um, so now I'm going to try to go hit again. Didn't get anywhere close. And I guess it took all my lives away. So there's obviously some issues inside the program code in this one, but this person made a code that plays a little game. So he designed all this stuff. He wrote all this stuff out, and it's a kind of a fun game to try to go through. I saw some people that made some mazes. That they went through and to make little games, but you don't it doesn't have to be a game. It's just, I do think it's in terms of making something easy to submit. It is nice if it's something that's interactive, so you can watch it go through a process. Um, but the last thing I wanted to get to before I get out of here and move forward is that you're going to be submitting your things through this digital portfolio website. That's digitalportfolio.collegeboard.org. So please make sure that you have gone on here, and when you go in here under the create, we can come in and talk about, the video. I guess that's logged me out, but it can you can come in and try to you can submit you can have your video and your written responses and your code. We need to submit those things in there in a way that they have access to them. Okay, so it needs to be something that the graders are going to be able to watch and use, um, and that's going to be really what kind of makes this work. Um, all right, so I think I've kind of gone through the create process, and we can do some more videos later for any questions you guys might have about the process. If y'all want to if you want me to go through a sample that the College Board has made and go through and try to score it, I'd be happy to go through that. But for now, that is what I want you to start working on. You need to start working on your create. For my students at my school that are watching this video, I want to make sure that you understand that today, about an hour ago, the governor came out and said that we are going to have no more face-to-face meetings for this school year. So, guys, I'm not going to see many of you until next August. Some of you guys, I may not see again face-to-face unless we're able to do some sort of graduation ceremony in the summer. But I want you to know that I'm not sure yet. We haven't received guidance from the State Department about what exactly how that's going to look from here on out, or our district or our school. So this just came out just a little while ago, but I need y'all to be paying close attention to what's coming out and letting me know if you have any access issues, because we're likely going to be, according to our state superintendent, we are going to be going into um, uh, teaching remotely from here on out, and I need to know what that is going to look like for each of you. And even if it's not just my class, maybe you can get through mine okay, but maybe you're going to have some issues with access in another class, or maybe it's not you that has access issues, but you know someone who does. Please, guys, let me know so I can make sure that we can get the help to the people that need it as soon as possible. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you guys for hanging in there. Sorry that the live stream didn't work this morning, and I will see you all as soon as I can. All right, y'all stay safe.